I've read this one before, but I just like the image. Rape of sex ramble. Sex, yes, sex. G-haul your ass forward into your third eye in tantra sex ribbon ass trick, and throw off your Puritan illusions. You know it's all lies. Burkowski hit home with his hangover second-story window hard-on stare, ass white cotton panty 12-year-old bend over peak. I fucked virgins on cornfield perfume sweaty nights. I fucked scuzzy whores at 17 in Panama, dancing hot Valentino tango with grape hard-on, girls with golden brown high-cheeked faces and fat labia hipped education. Like Burkowski, I know the power of white cotton panties. Didn't you sixth grade lust and new titties pop? America, don't pretend, don't jail on that natural lust. It keeps meridian spirit juices flow go. Stuck with joy on Clinton dog one sweat song. I screwed nuns that weren't virgins and wondered if a father had gotten them first. Wooden dildos, perhaps. The dong head carved in a Jesus face, perhaps. In the 5th grade, 4 of us tried to fuck our communal dog once. But she growled and bit Ralph. I let Ralph go first because I was just a recent fallen Church of God member and still had residual burn you at the stake fears. But in a way, it was kind of natural trying to fuck Smokey. Because 3 days ago, we had watched a beautiful girl fuck a German shepherd while we peak hid in the Ohio River bulrushes. Ralph wasn't really beautiful, and maybe that's why Smokey bit him.
I don't know what to say.
And the next person on the list is Deborah. Deborah, come on up.
I came here to find out when it was. Well, it was
This is more of a poem or a story that goes with the poems that I wrote. It's called The Last Fight Between Us. It's about abuse. It's also abuse. The Last Fight Between Us, a poem that I wrote. Okay. We fought for the last time, my husband and I, as I ran down the street as fast as I could to get away from him. It's finally over. I could take no more. I ran into the night so scared I was afraid he would come after me and follow me like he did many times before. This time it was different. It all started with the idea of going to an AA meeting. Instead, we parked in our alley behind my father-in-law's house just to talk things over, I suppose. He bought beer and cigarettes and nearby carryout. Like lighting a match to a fire, we proceeded to drink together. Before long, we were engaged in a heated argument. He'd just been released from prison for selling drugs. On probation, supposed to stay sober and clean, very jealous partner, quite controlling. Accused me that if I would find someone better than him, he believed if I went back to jail I'd be unfaithful. It was human nature, he would say. I told him that I only wanted him, that I loved him, and would never consider him with anyone else. In his drunken stupor, he swore I was lying, and grabbed me by the hair and started fighting. In our struggle, I could feel my ribs crack from his weight. I reached out with my foot and pressed against the windshield of the car. The windshield broke, the glass shattered. That was when he threw the first punch of his fist into my face. He kept hitting me full force with 4 blows to my head, then he collapsed on his seat. I couldn't take another hit like that. He knew it, and so did I. I could feel my face and my eyes swell right away. I pulled away from him and told him you were no good. That was when I ran down the alley and into the night, trying hard not to look back as I ran for my dear life. I stopped at a mutual friend's house and called for help. He told me to go to the carryout and call the police. They turned me away. They did not want to get involved in our domestic dispute. So I ran, and I saw headlights coming toward me. In fear, I ran kitty corner to a nightclub instead of a store. A place where I'd never been before since we did not frequent bars. I rushed into the breezeway as I noticed a telephone booth. I had no spare change. My thoughts were racing, my breathing was heavy, and I was out of breath from running. Did he follow me? Did he see me come out into here? I wondered. Quickly, without a moment's thought of hesitation, I reached for the gold handle of the door and stepped into the bar. I must have looked like an awful mess, as everyone noticed me right away. I happened to recognize a young man as he approached me. It was the bag boy at my local grocery store, come to my rescue. A crowd of women who led me to the ladies' room. They helped to clean me up from the loss of blood and from bruising. The bartender just happened to be the young man's father. They drove me to the YWCA Battered Women's Shelter. The ladies at the shelter were very kind to me. They arranged for a taxi to escort me to the hospital. There were x-rays and CAT scans for my injuries. When I arrived back at the shelter, I called home to let my children know where I was and that I was safe. I knew it was finally over. I was through with him before I had to come face to face with death. That was 16 years ago. Survivor. Why should I stay? This is actually a song, but I'm not going to sing it tonight. Survivor. Why should I stay with a man who takes his hands and turns them into fists in my face? Calls this temple of God, so they say, such disgrace. Well, I ran with men, and I was tempted by his heroin, and I was tempted by crack, where there'd be no turning back. Or I could have done a line of cocaine, but I chose not. It was all so insane. Yes, I chose not to do as he did. So I ran with my life, no longer his wife. So girl, learn a lesson from me if this happens to you. Get out and run with your life. I did, and so can you. You don't have to stay with a man who takes his hands and turns them into fists in your face to cause the temple of God, so they say, such disgrace. Okay, shattered crystal, this is a short one. Shattered crystal. Shattered crystal vase thrown down against the fireplace has fallen down to the floor. 1,000 pieces broken, just like my heart, tattered and torn apart. Eventually I reached down to pick myself up once again. Crystal vase thrown against the fireplace, reminding me of bruises that you left upon my face. Scars they hide inside my mind, telling tales of secrets behind our closed doors. A crystal vase fell to the floor and shattered, like when you raised your fist to me. And she said, "There's the door." She said, "There's the door." He said, "Okay," exchanging glances as he grabbed his coat and he left. She ran upstairs to her bedroom and laid her head on the satin pillow as she cried tears of goodbye. I guess that's how it goes sometimes. Divorce hurts so deep inside. They were so in love in the beginning. Honeymoon seemed to last forever. Every moment revolved around one another. Everything was so filled with the enchantment of romance, spellbound lovers from their first dance. Then something happened as the silence shook the room. He grabbed his coat and walked out the door. Everybody cries sometimes. Divorce hurts so deep inside. Only the strong survive. Only the strong survive. Revolving doors. Last one, and it's about bipolar. My daughter and I both had bipolar. Why I write poetry, probably. She colors her world with crayons. A box of 64 spilled out onto the floor. A mirrored reflection of herself she placed upon a shelf. She reached deep within her very soul before she found a Crayola gold. What color is the sunshine before the rain? She, crying tears filled with unbearable pain. What color is the rain before the storm? She cries for Gemini. The twins were born. Sadly, she looks into the image she sees in a nearby stream. In living color, the nightmare becomes reality as she colors her world with black and white crayons. What color are the footprints in the sand? Reaching out and wondering where is God's precious hand and her lost in her bipolar world she does not understand. Trying so hard to build her house on rock, not sand, as she colors her world with crayons.
Can you add one to this? It's big enough.
Yes, Sarah Mason.
Mr. Lipton, would you like to read?
I did that first of all.
Nick Muska, would you like to read? No, not tonight, thank you. All right, Joel would like
Come on,
to
Nick.
read. Jim would like to read. Anybody else would like to read?
Law.
What's your name, sir?
Brandon.
Brendan? All right. The next person on the list is
Here we
Greg.
go. Spider-Man.
Matt, he wants to read.
Spider-Man.